Hello, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for staying on the AM show with us. It's now time to have a conversation about filing of your taxes. And if you're somebody who is a culprit, you just may want to pay attention because the GRA is not too excited and is hoping that you will comply with the law. This morning I've been joined by Dominic Duckbill-Snap. He is Assistant Commissioner at the Commissioner General's Office. He is on my far left, and on my immediate left, David Lati Kwakopum. Yeah, I just need to take my time to get it right. I got some education before this, but you know, when you try something once, you need to do it a couple of times before you get your tongue around it. He's Chief Revenue Officer, Training and Development Department of the Ghana Revenue Authority. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me this morning. And this morning, you're here again because sometime last year, you started some, innovation to make it easier for citizens who are expected to pay their taxes to do so in a very simple manner. But it has come to your attention that individuals, companies, entities, some of them haven't filed their tax returns, and that is against the law, right?
Yeah, it is.
And you're here this morning to remind them to do so. Just tell us, one, why it is important and what we are likely to face if they do not comply with the law.
Yeah, thank you very much. As you are aware, the Ghana Revenue Authority has a mandate to administer taxes. So to that extent, we need the cooperation of our cherished taxpayers. We cannot actually succeed in our functions if we don't engage the taxpayers as well. So it is against this background that the Ghana Revenue Authority has dedicated the month of April to actually sensitize taxpayers and create a needed awareness about our tax and good governance. And also the importance for filing of the tax returns. When we talk about tax returns, essentially we are looking at a declaration by a taxpayer on their activities. So at the end of the day, Commissioner General is able to make an assessment of your tax liability based on the return that you have submitted. So if you don't submit a return, what it means is that Commissioner General would have to use his judgment, and that is what we don't want. So it is against this background that we try as much as possible to create the needed awareness and sensitization around the good, tax and good governance for our taxpayers to know that they need to actually file their tax returns.
When you talk about filing of tax returns, if you're someone who is familiar with what happens in other countries, it's more like something you grew up knowing how to do because you see your parents do it. They pick the bills, they're compiling the taxes and all that. But here we don't really have that culture unless it's a company or an entity. But I see that you've included individuals in there. So for me as an individual like me, do I qualify, or does the law expect me to file my returns, and how do I do so?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so what it is that if you are an income earner, the law expects you to actually file your tax returns. Let me first of all start with employees, because you mentioned you as an example. Employees hitherto were not filing. Their employers would file. Once your income was exclusively from the exercise of employment, your employer would file on your behalf. But there has been an amendment to that provision of the tax law requiring employees to file. The reason is because there may be some income that you have earned that your employer may not know, so that you are able to disclose that for Commissioner General to make a fair assessment.
So can I give an example of? I'll come to you shortly.
I want to just say that, for example, you, I know Christmas you receive a lot of hampers. Is that okay? So the market value of the hampers will be quantified and added to your employment income and any other income that you probably might have received. Okay,
so later I'll come back to the how, because that's important, because you're telling me now, but how do I go about it? But does it include, for example, an emceeing job for a wedding, how much you're paid, or other services you render people? You may not have a company, for example, if I'm here and somebody says, oh, I want to put something on social media. Can you look through it for me to be sure that the language is appropriate? All those kind of things require that I disclose that I've earned this for that and that and that, right?
Yeah.
So how do I go about it?
The filing of the returns.
Right.
Okay, so definitely you have undertaken an activity over the period. There are several types of returns that we are supposed to file. Typically, once the activity has been done and the necessary documentations to those activities are all well laid out. You have your costs, you have your incomes that you have earned. So these are the ones that you need to put on the return that is being given to you. You can download it on our website.
Okay, so there's a form that makes it easier
right.
for you to know how to go about
exactly.
it. Okay.
Exactly, yes.
All right, and so would it automatically compute how much, say, for example, if I did an MCing job for a friend and I got 3,000 CDs, does it compute and tell me how much tax I'm expected to pay on that? Or I would have to give all those details to GRA before GRA tells me how much I'm supposed to pay as tax?
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, we have basically 3 types of income that is subject to tax.
Good.
We have employment. So once you are in employment, that income that you receive, the law requires that you a return is submitted on that. Then we have business, where you run a business. Is that okay? So your income for the year, and then the cost that you incur in generating that income should also be put together in a tax return. Then we have the last one, which is the investment. That is where you earn passive income. You put money in treasury bills, you put money in by way of buying of shares and so on and so forth. Having said that, there are some incomes that are exempt from tax. Okay. The law says don't pay tax on them.
Okay.
For example, if an individual buys treasury bills and earns interest, the interest is not subject to tax in Ghana. That is the law. Apart from that, there are some incomes that are also exempt. Now, once you are talking about emceeing a program, once you MC a program and then you receive income, that income is going to be subject to tax. But the question is, how do you go about it? That is what it is. So the return spells out clearly the various incomes. Is that okay? That you need to actually disclose. And then the system will automatically compute it, for you.
So that's when you are doing it on a system.
Yes.
But apart from the income aspect, you also know we have tax on transactions, like indirect tax, VAT and all those things. All those also you are required to file returns on them as and when the time is due. So those ones also, you can obtain the necessary documents and then file accordingly.
Okay, but we spoke about it being done via your system, which already has all the details. But can you do it manually?
Yes, if it can be done manually. But the truth of the matter is that we are discouraging the manual, filing. The reason is because it's more efficient and cost-effective to do it, via the system. So as much as possible, we want to just discourage that because we don't want a situation where we'll be creating problems for our taxpayers.
Exactly, we don't want the situation where we have dual activity taking place. But if you have any challenge in getting to the system, you always get in touch with any of the GRA offices. They will definitely get assistance to do it, file it online as required. Okay,
but let me find out from you, this is not something you can sit and decide to do anytime. It's time bound, right? So what is the usual duration or expectation for individuals and companies and entities to file their tax returns?
Thank you. So like I said earlier, there are several tax returns that can be filed. Right. You have a personal income tax that you have to file. That is for persons like us, individuals. Okay. Company income tax will also be filed. There are withholding taxes that you need to file, either under income tax or under indirect tax, VAT, and all that. But the point is that for each of these tax returns, there is a period that is given. So for the personal income tax, for example, at the end of the year, when you have done all your calculations and you need to file the return by the 30th of April. For the personal income taxes, by the 30th of April, you should have filed your return, and that is the provision.
For the previous year? For
the previous year. So you've done, for example, we are in 2023. Yeah, so we are dealing with 2022 returns now. So those are the ones that we are expecting you to file by the close of 30th of April of this year. But this is the tax month, right?
Yeah.
So that is where you are. So, for example, if you're also dealing with indirect tax, VAT, you have to file that tax. It's a monthly return. So a monthly return will be filed at the close of the month. Okay, so again, if I want to use an example, we are in April now. All the filings will be related to March. So you file in March VAT returns by the last working day of this April.
Okay.
You should file your returns. Good. You have withholding taxes, and usually they come in at the middle part of the month, but it's also relating to the previous period's transaction, and so those previous period transactions will be filed in the current period, and that is what we have. So that one, by the 15th of the month following, you have to file the return.
By the 15th, so you can do it before?
Yes.
Exactly.
You can always file.
What if you have the attitude of many Ghanaians who like to wait till the very last minute, and that last minute happens to be a weekend or a holiday? Does the law give you a little room after that due date?
No, the truth of the matter is that taxation is governed by law. So once the law says that if you are filing your personal income tax, or if it is a company and then your basis period is January to December, you have not more than 4 months after the end of the year. Yeah. So in that case, 30th April, you cannot go beyond 30th, April. Now, if it falls on a Saturday, what do? You can file earlier. But again, because it is online, if you file on the 30th, there's no problem. Are you getting them? Yeah. But having said that, if the system fails you, what happens? That is the reason why we encourage people to file, much earlier. So
the law doesn't make any room for any adjustments after the period you're expected to file. If you do so afterwards, it's considered an illegal.
No, you can apply to the Commissioner General for extension. That is, but you must state in writing, giving reasons why you are asking for the extension. And if Commissioner General thinks that it is very reasonable, it will be done.
Interesting. Well, so this morning I'm speaking to officials from the Ghana Revenue Authority, and it's because this month of April is the Tax and Good Governance Month, and they've set us aside to do things like this to help us understand the importance of filing our tax returns, who qualifies to file the tax returns, what the law's requirements are in filing your tax returns. But let's talk about the very interesting one of property rates, because that has been quite topical since last year. And you've been partnering with MMDAs to ensure that people pay their property rates. Now, how far has this collaboration gone?
Yeah, thank you very much. The collaboration is actually a creature of law. The law says that GRA should assist the MMDAs in property rate, taxation. So to that end, yes, we have actually had a very smooth partnership, with them. What we have done is that data-based platform has been created, and again, what we have also done is that Ghana Revenue Authority, the Ministry of Local Government, and Land Valuations have actually done valuation of properties across the country. Is that okay? To determine the proper values and then the risk, to be applied. And the values that are supposed to be paid on them.
Maybe someone is just hearing the property rate conversation for the first time. Mr. Late Kwakupem, just take us through what property rates are. Do I pay property rates only on facilities or properties that I have rented out, or I have to pay property rates on facilities that I also live in? What exactly is the concept?
Okay, thank you very much. So in general, when you are dealing with property rates, it will cut across all the ones that you just mentioned. I mean, you have a property, a rented out facility, is a property that you own. You have rented it out. You are earning income on that. And therefore, the law says that you needed to pay a tax relating to the property. You have a personal property, like I put up my own house and I'm in it. As a citizen, the law has provided that I contribute to the development of my area, my surroundings. But how do I do that? I have to pay property rates so that the institution that have been mandated will use that to do the development of our area. So, and as long as you have put up a facility, a property, whether you are using it for commercial purposes or you are owning it and using it for your personal activity, you needed to pay the tax on it, and that is what we are talking about. I
know that there are threats of court actions against people who haven't paid their property rates. I know of such stories. But beyond that, what other sanctions are there for people who fail to pay their property rates?
Yeah, you stand to be prosecuted when you don't actually pay property, because it is a law that has access to pay. But let me just quickly talk about two things. We have to actually draw a line clearly between what we call the rent income tax that landlords pay. They pay when they rent out. Are you getting it? That is rent income tax. But when it comes to the property, as he has said, it has to do with the building that you have put up. They will value the building and then you pay property rate on that.
And this is annually?
Yes. When it comes to commercial, when you make that payment, it is also a tax allowable deduction. So when you are filing your tax returns, you disclose it as a cost. Yes. So at the end of the day, it is going to reduce the tax that you are paying.
Okay.
If you are running a business.
Your rent income tax will reduce the property rate that you have to pay.
No. There are two different things.
Okay.
The property rate is administered by the assemblies,
right,
in collaboration with the Ghana Revenue Authority.
Right.
But when it comes to the rent, when you are taking rent from tenants as a landlord, the law requires that if it is residential, you pay 8%. So the tenant who is paying you is required to withhold. That is, if it's qualified to withhold. If it is residential, it is 8%. If it is commercial, it is 15% on the rental income that is paid to the landlord. That aside, we are talking about the property rate. So the building itself, what is the value? Is that okay? So that has been determined in collaboration with GRA, with the assemblies and then the local government. And they have determined, the value of the properties. And on that basis, they are levying the property tax, on it for you to pay. But if you have problems, you can always, lodge a complaint.
I think that the advantage that my boss is saying is that if you own the property and you are earning income from the property, you're supposed to file a return on that income. But you see that the rental income is on one side. Now, in filing your rental income, you may be required to disclose any costs that you have incurred. Okay. Paying the property rate itself could be a considered area which may reduce your income.
Okay, so I reversed it
on the rental income.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So because it was incurred in that particular activity.
Right.
Therefore, you could.
Right. Okay. So I needed a bit of clarity, and there's a lot to discuss on this issue, especially when it comes to your collaboration with the MMDAs. But there's a portal, myassembly.gov.gh. So Kwapome, would you want to tell us what it is and why it has been created?
Thank you very much. So that is a portal that has been created basically for property owners to be able to file their property rate and pay the tax on it.
So they're not allowed to pay cash?
No.
Mobile money.
But not physical cash.
No physical cash. The assemblies are not allowed, per the current arrangement, the assemblies are not allowed to collect cash.
Okay, so if anybody comes to your house and says they are a representative of the assembly and they are coming for property rates and they're demanding cash, please, you're hearing it here. Per the current arrangement, that is not allowed. You have to pay via Momo and all the details, or the bank, and all the details are on myassembly.gov.gh. And so no issues of...
Yeah, and you can use the Ghana.gov platform.
Okay, as well.
For the payment of the tax, yes.
Ghana.gov platform. Right, okay. Are people allowed to pay in installments? Someone may say that, oh, this is this property rate, the valuation of my bill. Is in the first place, am I permitted to contest the valuation of my property?
Obviously, yes. I mean, if you have an issue with it, the law allows you to actually, lodge a complaint. And the committee will look at it and make a determination as to whether you are right or wrong.
Okay, and then what about...
When it comes to the installation, a payment by installment, the law allows you, if you don't have the money immediately, you can arrange to make the payment.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So, paper bills, right? In 2023, you're doing away with that. You started your campaign in 2022 to try and go digital, but now you are phasing out really fast, yes, and the paper bill. So you're scrapping that in 2022?
Exactly. It's been scrapped because for other issues relating to it, especially inefficiencies that come along with the paper bill issues. So now the provision is that you go onto the myassembly.gov, register your property.
Okay.
And then after you have registered your property, the necessary processes are all there. I mean, the pointers will be there for you to guide you to do the necessary payments, get the necessary valuation, and all those issues related to it.
So based on what you're saying, I can just sit in the comfort of my home without visiting the assembly. Just go to myassemblies.gov.gh, register my property. Officials will come and value it, and then after that we move on. That is, if the valuation hasn't been done already.
That's it.
Okay. So what then happens to the collectors at the assemblies? Their jobs are being taken away from them.
Not really. In fact,
Okay.
what the law says is that, or the decision has been taken is that they will be deployed to actually assist, property owners in the payment of the taxes.
That's right.
They could also be allowed to do evaluation and monitoring, of the system, or any other role that may be assigned. So they are not going to lose their jobs at all.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to filing of your tax returns, but we may have to end it here for today. What is the most important thing you two would like to leave with the Ghanaian public about the payment of taxes? I'll start with you, Mr. Nab, and end with you, Mr. Lati Kwakupene.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is the only country we have, and we need to actually support the socio-economic development of this country. And to do the trick is through taxes. So let's file, let's pay our taxes. And also GRA has tax clinics that we have established all over our offices. You can walk there and ask of any concern about tax that concerns you, and there are staff there who would actually help you.
That's very important, because for many people who are not familiar with the taxation system, just a sit down like this will give them a fair idea, but to go into details, some people may need assistance. So I'm grateful that you mentioned the tax clinics that have been set up. So for you, Mr. Lati Kwakupene, what will your last words be?
Yeah, thank you very much. The importance of tax in nation building cannot be overemphasized. We need every citizen to be conscious of the tax responsibilities and obligations. One of the things that Commissioner General and for that matter GRA has been trying to get citizens to do is to ensure that they take their tax invoices seriously. I mean, people go and make purchases, they just walk away. You go and make a purchase at a registered taxpayer's premises, then you walk away without taking your tax invoice. How do you know that the money that you have paid, the tax that is included, will get to government? We need every hand on deck to be able to measure up to the level, the tax to GDP level within the sub-region. In fact, we are quite low. It is true, people will complain about a lot of taxes, but then again, a lot of people are not paying. A lot of people are not conscious. We need everybody's hand on deck to be able to collect the tax that we require for the development of this country. And it is important for us to emphasize it again, that is where the trick lies. That's where the trick lies.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. So, well, you've heard it. Those of you who do a lot of side jobs, you need to file your tax returns. So, I know you may not be excited about that, but let's help the GRA do its work easily, so that we can. We are
in GRA, we file our taxes.
You do?
Yeah, we do.
I wanted to ask you that, but I didn't want to put you on the spot.
I have filed my tax.
You filed your tax return.
I did that just yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah, so please. And it was seamless.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. That's right.
Okay.
I've done my computation, and from here I'm going to finish it up. I didn't finish yesterday, so I'll finish it today.
Okay. So, okay. That, in other words, you're just telling me to do things.
Yeah, you do. And we encourage everyone out there, please.
Yeah. So
come
I
on
mean, the thing here is that initially employees were not required to do so, but we are required to do so now. So, yeah. For me, I'll do so right after the show. So please just endeavor to do same on the GRA's website, and it's easier. Everything is almost digitized now. So yeah, you wanted to say something?
No, that's okay. All I wanted to say was that it's easy because if you have your pay slip over the period of time, those ones are the guide where you get your information from.
So you just fill in the...
That's right.
And then you're done.
Yeah.
And it's important because, my company is a responsible one, but in some companies, the company may not be paying the taxes on your behalf. And so filing will help the GRA know that, okay, there's something fishy happening here, so that you're also sure that what is being, deducted from your salary is actually going to the right places.
And again, if for any reason you were overtaxed, when you file your tax returns, you are entitled to a refund.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is, let's take note of that.
Okay, that's exciting. That's exciting. All right, so that's it. The GRA's website there, and gives you all the information you need: tax information and services, domestic tax, file and pay taxes is there. Also your TIN. I have my TIN. If you don't have your TIN by now, I don't know what you're waiting for.
But if you don't have your TIN, if you're an individual, your Ghana card. Yes. Becomes your TIN. So
yeah. Okay.
You should all go for it and get a Ghana card.
Okay. So well, we are learning a lot today, aren't we? So *880#. Well, if you want to do it, if you don't want to go on the website as well, you want to just use the USSD code. It's there for you. So please, GRA has made it very simple for you. But that's all time will allow us this morning. Dominic Duckbill-Snap is Assistant Commissioner at the Commissioner General's Office. He's on my far left, and on my immediate left, David Late Kwakupum is Chief Revenue Officer, Training and Development Department of the GRA.